Hey everyone, it's Charlotte. I'm recording this from my sister's guest bedroom at 4 a.m. because I can't sleep, I can't stop crying, and I honestly don't know if my marriage is going to survive this. 3 days ago, we had our gender reveal party. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. Instead, it became the day I realized that my husband and his mother care more about having a boy than they care about me or our baby. And I don't know how to come back from what happened. I need to tell you this whole story because I'm still processing it. I'm still devastated, and I need to get it all out. So let me start from the beginning. My name is Charlotte. I'm 30 years old, and I'm 20 weeks pregnant with my first child. I've been married to my husband, I'll call him Ryan, for 3 years. We've been together for 5 years total, and up until 3 days ago, I thought we had a solid marriage. Ryan and I started trying for a baby about a year ago. It took us several months to conceive, which was emotionally difficult. Every negative pregnancy test felt like a failure. Every month that passed, I felt more anxious and stressed. Ryan seemed disappointed too, but he kept saying, "It'll happen when it's meant to happen." Finally, 3 months ago, I got a positive pregnancy test. I was so excited I could barely breathe. I told Ryan immediately. I couldn't wait to surprise him in some creative way. I just needed to share the joy with him right that second. Ryan was thrilled. He picked me up and spun me around, kissed me, and said, "We're going to be parents." We called our families, told our friends, and started planning for our future as a family of 3. The first trimester was rough. I had terrible morning sickness, though it should really be called all-day sickness because I felt nauseous from the moment I woke up until I went to bed. I was exhausted constantly. I couldn't keep much food down. I lost weight instead of gaining it, which worried my doctor. Ryan was supportive during this time. He'd hold my hair back when I was sick, bring me crackers and ginger ale, and tell me how proud he was of me for growing our baby. His mother, Linda, was less sympathetic. She'd say things like, "I never had morning sickness with my pregnancies. I think it's all about mindset." As if I was choosing to vomit multiple times a day. Linda has always been a lot. She's one of those mothers who thinks her son can do no wrong and that no woman is good enough for him. When Ryan and I got engaged, she cried, and not happy tears. She told Ryan he was too young to settle down, even though he was 27 at the time. At our wedding, she wore a dress that was inappropriately white adjacent and made several comments about how rushed our relationship felt, even though we'd been dating for 2 years. Since I got pregnant, Linda has been obsessed with the baby. She calls me constantly asking about my symptoms, my doctor's appointments, what I'm eating. She sent me multiple packages of maternity clothes, all in styles I'd never wear, like floral mums that look like curtains. She's already bought nursery furniture without asking what Ryan and I wanted. She's incredibly overbearing. But Ryan always says, that's just how she is. She's excited to be a grandmother. About a month ago, Linda started making comments about the baby's gender. She'd say things like, "I hope it's a boy. The Johnson family needs more boys." Or, "I've always wanted a grandson. Girls are so complicated." Or, "Ryan was such an easy baby. I hope you're having a boy just like him." At first, I laughed these comments up. I didn't care about the gender. I just wanted a healthy baby. But Linda kept bringing it up. Every single conversation somehow turned into her expressing her preference for a grandson. Ryan started echoing these sentiments too. He'd say, "I hope it's a boy so I can teach him football." Or, "It would be cool to have a son to carry on the family name." Or, "I've always pictured myself as a girl dad, but a boy would be great too." That last one felt like he was trying to backtrack and seem neutral, but it was clear he wanted a son. I told Ryan that I didn't care about the gender, and I asked him to please not put that kind of expectation on our baby. He said he didn't care either, that he'd be happy with whatever we had. But his comments suggested otherwise. When we hit 20 weeks, we scheduled an ultrasound where we'd be able to find out the baby's gender. Linda immediately insisted we do a gender reveal party. She said it would be a wonderful way to celebrate and bring the family together. I wasn't thrilled about the idea. Gender reveal parties feel a bit over the top to me, but Ryan was excited about it, and I wanted to make him happy. So we planned the party. We decided to have the ultrasound technician write the gender on a piece of paper and seal it in an envelope, which we'd give to my sister Emma. Emma would then organize the reveal. We'd cut into a cake that would have either pink or blue filling. The ultrasound appointment was 2 weeks ago. Ryan came with me, and we were both excited to see the baby. The technician did all the measurements, checked everything, and said the baby looked healthy and was developing perfectly. Then she asked if we wanted to know the gender. We explained our plan, and she said that was fine. She'd write it down and seal it in an envelope for us. While she was doing the ultrasound, I was watching the screen, trying to see if I could figure out what we were having. But I couldn't tell. I'm not trained to read ultrasounds. The technician handed us the sealed envelope and said, "Congratulations," with a big smile. Ryan took the envelope and held it like it was made of gold. He said, "I'm so tempted to peek." I laughed and said, "Don't you dare. We've come this far." We gave the envelope to Emma that same day. She was thrilled to be involved and promised she'd order a custom cake and keep the secret safe. Over the next 2 weeks, the anticipation built. Ryan talked constantly about the party. Linda called me every single day asking if I'd peeked at the envelope, which I hadn't because I'd already given it to Emma. She kept saying things like, "I just know it's a boy, I can feel it," grandmother's intuition. I started feeling uneasy about how invested everyone seemed to be in the baby being a boy. I mentioned this to Ryan and he said, "People are just excited, don't overthink it." But I couldn't shake this feeling that if we were having a girl, people were going to be disappointed. And that made me sad because our baby, regardless of gender, was wanted and loved and deserved to be celebrated. The gender reveal party was planned for last Saturday. We invited about 40 people, family and close friends. It was at Ryan's parents' house because they have a big backyard. Linda insisted on hosting, and honestly, I was too tired from pregnancy to argue about it. The morning of the party, I felt anxious. I couldn't pinpoint exactly why, but I had this sense of dread in my stomach. I told Ryan I was nervous, and he said, "About what?" "It's just a party. Everyone's going to be excited no matter what we're having." I wanted to believe him. I really did. We arrived at Linda's house around 2 p.m. The backyard was decorated with yellow and white balloons, neutral colors since we didn't know the gender yet. There was a table set up with food, and in the center was the cake, a beautiful white cake with boy or girl written on top in gold frosting. Guests started arriving, and everyone was excited. My parents were there, my siblings, Ryan's dad Robert, Ryan's sister Kelly, and a bunch of our friends. Linda was flitting around, playing hostess, making sure everyone had drinks and food. Around 3 p.m., Linda gathered everyone in the backyard for the reveal. She handed Ryan and me a knife to cut the cake together. She had someone ready to record on their phone. Everyone started counting down. 3, 2, 1. Ryan and I cut into the cake. And the filling was pink. Bright, beautiful pink. We're having a girl. For a second, I felt pure joy. A daughter. I was going to have a daughter. I looked up at Ryan with a huge smile, expecting to see him smiling too, but he wasn't smiling. His face had fallen. He looked disappointed, genuinely disappointed. And then, before I could even process his reaction, Linda let out this dramatic groan. She literally said, "Oh no, really?" Everyone went quiet. The happy chatter and cheers stopped. People looked confused. My mom's smile faltered. Linda continued, "A girl? Are you sure? Could the ultrasound be wrong?" I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I looked at Ryan, waiting for him to say something, to defend our baby, to shut his mother down. But he just stood there, staring at the pink cake with this expression of disappointment. Finally, I said, "Linda, we're having a healthy baby. That's what matters." Linda waved her hand dismissively. Of course. It's just, we were all hoping for a boy. The Johnson family needs more boys. Ryan needs a son." My sister Emma immediately came to my side. She said, "Linda, that's incredibly rude. Charlotte and Ryan are having a daughter. That's wonderful news." But Linda kept going. "It's not rude to be honest about disappointment. I've been telling everyone I was going to have a grandson. Now what am I supposed to say?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was supposed to be a celebration, and my mother-in-law was openly expressing disappointment about my baby's gender at our gender reveal party in front of 40 people. I looked at Ryan again, silently begging him to say something, to stand up for our daughter, to tell his mother to stop. Instead, Ryan said, "Mom's right. I mean, I'll love our baby either way, but I was really hoping for a boy." My heart shattered. My husband, the father of my child, was agreeing with his mother that our daughter was a disappointment. I felt tears starting to form. I said, "Ryan, how could you say that?" He looked defensive. "I'm just being honest. You asked me not to have expectations, but of course I had a preference. Most guys want sons. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? My voice was shaking. You're saying our daughter is a disappointment in front of everyone we know, Linda interjected. Charlotte, don't be so sensitive. We're allowed to have feelings. You can't expect us to fake enthusiasm. The backyard was completely silent now. Everyone was watching this horrible scene unfold. My mom looked furious. My dad looked like he wanted to say something, but didn't know what. My friends looked uncomfortable and shocked. Ryan's sister Kelly spoke up. Ryan, Linda, you both need to stop. This is inappropriate and hurtful. But Linda wasn't done. She said, you know what? Maybe you'll have a boy next time. You're still young. You can try again. She was already dismissing my daughter, my baby who I was currently growing, who I already loved, as if she was just a practice run before the real baby, the boy they actually wanted. I started crying. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I said to Ryan, I can't believe you. I can't believe you. Ryan looked frustrated. Charlotte, you're overreacting. I said I'll love the baby. I'm just disappointed. Am I not allowed to feel disappointed? I said. Not about your own child. Not at her gender reveal party. Not in a way that makes it clear you value a son more than a daughter. Emma put her arm around me. She said to Ryan, you need to fix this right now. But Ryan just looked annoyed. He said everyone's making a big deal out of Mom's excited to be a grandmother. I'm excited to be a dad. So we're disappointed it's not a boy. So what? We're allowed to have feelings. I looked around at our guests. Some people were whispering to each other. Some were looking at their phones, clearly uncomfortable. My mom was crying. My dad looked like he was restraining himself from confronting Ryan. I couldn't stay there anymore. I said, I'm leaving. Ryan said, Charlotte, come on. Don't leave. Let's just cut the cake and... I cut him off. Cut the cake? Are you serious? You just told me and everyone here that you're disappointed in our daughter before she's even born. Linda said, Charlotte, you're being dramatic. Sit down and let's enjoy the party. I ignored her. I walked through the side yard to where our car was parked. Emma followed me and so did my mom and dad. Behind me, I could hear Linda saying to the remaining guests, well, this is awkward. I guess the party's over. Help yourselves to cake. The audacity of this woman. When we got to the car, my dad said, Charlotte, honey, I don't even know what to say. Ryan and Linda's behavior was inexcusable. My mom was furious. She said, how dare they react that way? How dare they make you feel like your baby, their baby, is somehow less than? Because she's a girl. Emma was crying too. She said, Charlotte, I'm so sorry. This should have been a beautiful moment, and they ruined it. This was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my pregnancy. I was supposed to be celebrating finding out I'm having a daughter. Instead, I felt ashamed and hurt and angry. Ryan came outside a few minutes later. He said, Charlotte, can we talk? My dad stepped between us. He said, I think you've said enough for one day, Ryan. Ryan looked frustrated. I'm trying to fix this. Charlotte, please, let's go home and talk. But I said through tears, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at you. You made it clear how you feel about our daughter. Ryan said I never said I don't want her. I'm just disappointed it's not a boy. There's a difference. My dad said, no, son, there isn't. Not to your pregnant wife who just heard you publicly announce your disappointment in the child she's carrying. Ryan looked at my dad, then back at me. He said, you're all overreacting. Mom's right. We're allowed to have feelings. I said, then I'm allowed to have feelings about your feelings. And right now, I feel like I don't know who I married. I got in my car. Emma drove because I was too upset. And we went to my parents' house. Ryan called me about 20 times that evening. I didn't answer. He sent text after text saying we needed to talk, that I was blowing this out of proportion, that he was sorry if I was hurt, but he couldn't help how he felt. Sorry if I was hurt. Not sorry for hurting me. Sorry if I was hurt, as if my pain was hypothetical or optional. That night, I lay in my childhood bedroom crying for hours. My mom sat with me stroking my hair like she used to when I was little. She said, Charlotte, what Ryan and Linda did was wrong. You and your baby deserve better. I kept thinking about my daughter, my little girl who Ryan and Linda had already decided wasn't good enough simply because of her gender. This baby I'm carrying, who's growing inside me, who I already love so much, They were disappointed in her before they even met her. The next day, Ryan showed up at my parents' house. My dad answered the door and told him I didn't want to see him. Ryan insisted, so eventually I agreed to talk to him on the front porch. Ryan looked tired. He said, "Charlotte, can we please stop this? You left our gender reveal party. You embarrassed me in front of everyone." I stared at him. "I embarrassed you? Are you joking?" He said, "You made a scene and walked out." "My mom worked hard on that party." I said, "Your mom worked hard on a party where she openly expressed disappointment in our daughter, where you agreed with her, where you both made it clear that our baby girl isn't what you wanted." Ryan sighed. "Look, I'm sorry you're upset, but you have to understand. I've always pictured having a son. It's not personal against our daughter." "How is it not personal?" "I was trying not to yell. She's your child." "And you're disappointed in her gender. That is literally the definition of personal." Ryan said, "Can we please just move past this? What's done is done. It's a girl." "Fine, I'll adjust my expectations." "Adjust your expectations?" "Ryan, do you hear yourself? Our daughter isn't a consolation prize. She's not a disappointment you need to adjust to." He looked frustrated. "I didn't say she was a consolation prize. Stop putting words in my mouth." I said, "You said you were disappointed it's not a boy in front of 40 people at our gender reveal party. What else am I supposed to take from that?" Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Look, I'll love her when she's born. I'm sure I will. But right now, yeah, I'm disappointed. I wanted a son. That's not a crime." I said, "You should want your child, Ryan. Not just your child. Our child." He said, "I do want our child, but I'm allowed to have feelings about the gender." I said, "And I'm allowed to have feelings about your feelings. And right now, I feel like I can't trust you to love our daughter the way she deserves." Ryan looked hurt. "That's not fair. Of course I'll love her." I said, "Will you? Or will you always see her as the disappointment, the girl you didn't want?" That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. I said, "I think you should stay somewhere else for a while. I need space." Ryan said, "You're kicking me out over this?" I said, "You disappointed our unborn daughter and agreed with your mother that she's not good enough because she's a girl. Yes, I'm asking you to leave." Ryan's face hardened. He said, "Fine, but you're going to realize you're overreacting, and when you do, I'll be waiting for an apology." He walked away, got in his car and drove off. And I stood on my parents' porch crying and placing my hands on my belly where my daughter was growing, and I whispered to her, "I'm so sorry. You are wanted. You are loved. You are perfect exactly as you are." That was 2 days ago. Since then, Ryan has continued to text and call. He keeps saying I'm overreacting, that I'm being hormonal and emotional because of pregnancy, that his mother didn't mean anything by her comments. Linda has also called me. She left a voicemail saying, "Charlotte, I understand you're upset, but you need to calm down and stop being so sensitive. I'm allowed to want a grandson. That doesn't mean I won't love my granddaughter. You're creating drama where there doesn't need to be any." She doesn't get it. Neither of them gets it. My friends have been incredible. When word got out about what happened, because people at the party talked, I've received so many messages of support. Friends telling me that Ryan and Linda's behavior was unacceptable. Friends sharing their own stories of gender disappointment, handled badly. Friends just checking in to make sure I'm okay. My family is furious on my behalf. My dad said he wants to have a conversation with Ryan about respect and priorities. My mom has been researching gender disappointment and sending me articles about how damaging it can be when parents express preference for one gender over another. Emma has been my rock. She's been staying with me at our parents' house, making sure I eat, holding me when I cry, distracting me with movies and conversation when I need it. But I'm still devastated. I lie awake at night thinking about everything that happened, replaying the moment when Ryan's face fell at the sight of pink cake. Hearing Linda's, "Oh no, really?" over and over in my head. I think about my daughter, my sweet baby girl who's currently kicking and moving inside me, and I feel this fierce protective love mixed with sadness that her father and grandmother have already decided she's not what they wanted. I keep thinking about what kind of environment I'm bringing her into. Will Ryan treat her differently because she's not the son he wanted? Will Linda favor Ryan's future sons, if he has any, over my daughter? Will my little girl grow up feeling like she's not enough? I also keep thinking about my marriage. Can I stay married to someone who looked at me, 20 weeks pregnant, and told me and everyone we know that he was disappointed in our baby's gender? Ryan keeps texting that he loves me, that we can work through this, that I'm making too big a deal out of one comment. But it wasn't one comment. It was a pattern of behavior that culminated in a public expression of disappointment in our daughter. And what about Linda? How do I have a relationship with my mother-in-law who thinks my daughter is a disappointment? How do I let her be involved in my daughter's life when she's already made it clear she would have preferred a grandson? My therapist, I had an emergency session yesterday, says that Ryan and Linda's reaction is about their own issues and expectations, not about my daughter's worth. She says some people have deeply ingrained ideas about gender and family, and when those expectations aren't met, they react poorly. She also said that Ryan's lack of immediate self-correction is concerning. The fact that he didn't immediately realize how hurtful his words were, that he didn't apologize profusely and try to make it right, that suggests a deeper problem with empathy and priority. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what I want moving forward. I know I want to be a good mother to my daughter. I want her to grow up confident and loved and certain of her worth. I don't want her to ever feel like she's a disappointment, or that she should have been someone else. But I don't know if I can provide that environment while married to Ryan and connected to Linda. Ryan sent me a long text last night. In it, he said he's been thinking about everything and he realizes he could have reacted better. Not that he was wrong, just that he could have reacted better. He said he understands why I'm upset, but that he thinks I'm being unfair by keeping him away. He said pregnancy is making me emotional and that I'm not thinking clearly. He said his mother is hurt that I'm punishing her for being honest about her feelings. He ended the text by saying, "I'm trying here, Charlotte, but you have to meet me halfway. I can't apologize for having feelings. I can only apologize for how I expressed them, and I'm sorry if the way I expressed my disappointment hurt you, but I can't change how I feel." I read that text over and over. I can't change how I feel. He's disappointed our baby is a girl, and he can't, or won't, change how he feels about that. How do I stay married to someone who feels that way about our daughter? My mom says I don't have to make any decisions right now. She says I should focus on staying healthy and taking care of myself and the baby, and that everything else can wait. But I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop replaying the gender reveal. I can't stop hearing the disappointment in Ryan's voice. I can't stop seeing Linda's dramatic reaction. And I can't stop feeling protective of my daughter, who doesn't deserve any of this. Yesterday, I had a follow-up appointment with my OB. She asked how I was doing, and I broke down crying in her office. I told her what happened at the gender reveal. She was horrified. She said, "Charlotte, your job right now is to take care of yourself and your baby. Stress isn't good for either of you. Whatever you need to do to minimize stress, whether that's taking space from your husband, limiting contact with his mother, whatever, you need to do it."
She also said something that stuck with me.
She said, "Your daughter is already perfect. She's already exactly who she's meant to be, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be in her life. My daughter is perfect. She's healthy and growing and hiccuping and kicking. She has tiny fingers and toes that I saw in the ultrasound. She has a heart that beats strong and steady. She is perfect exactly as she is. And if Ryan and Linda can't see that, if they can't love her without reservation simply because she's a girl and not a boy, then maybe they don't deserve to be in her life." But then I think about the practical realities. Ryan is her father. He has rights. I can't just cut him out, even if I wanted to. And Linda is her grandmother. Even if she's a terrible grandmother, she's still family. I also think about the good times Ryan and I had. The man I fell in love with 5 years ago. The man who held me when I was scared about getting pregnant. The man who cried happy tears when we saw our baby on the ultrasound for the first time. Is that man gone? Or is he still in there somewhere, buried under expectations and disappointment and his mother's influence? I don't know. I honestly don't know. What I do know is that I can't go back to my house right now. I can't face Ryan. I can't pretend everything is okay when it's so clearly not. I also know that I'm terrified of what this means for my daughter's future. Will she grow up feeling unwanted by her father? Will she internalize? My sister Emma said something yesterday that I keep coming back to. She said, "Charlotte, you're already being an amazing mom. You're protecting your daughter. You're advocating for her. You're making sure she knows she's loved and wanted. That's what a good mother does." But I don't feel like an amazing mom. I feel like a failure for choosing a partner who would react this way. I feel guilty that my daughter will be born into this situation. I also feel angry, So incredibly angry at Ryan for prioritizing his disappointment over his daughter. Angry at Linda for being so openly dismissive of my baby. Angry at myself for not seeing the red flags earlier. All those comments about wanting a boy, all those jokes about needing a grandson. I should have addressed this sooner. I should have had serious conversations with Ryan about gender disappointment and made sure he understood that we would love and celebrate our child regardless of gender. But I didn't, and now we're here. My dad came into my room last night and sat on the edge of my bed. He said, "Charlotte, I need you to know something. When your mother was pregnant with you, we didn't find out the gender ahead of time. But I'll be honest, I was hoping for a boy." I looked at him, surprised. He continued, "And then you were born, and I held you in my arms, and I realized how stupid I'd been, because you were perfect. You were my daughter, and I loved you more than I'd ever loved anything. And I couldn't imagine my life with anyone other than you." He had tears in his eyes. What I'm saying is, gender disappointment can be real, but it should disappear the moment you meet your child. And even if it doesn't disappear immediately, you never, ever let your child know you were disappointed. You certainly don't announce it at a party in front of everyone. He took my hand. "And you're right to be upset. You're right to protect your daughter, because she deserves parents who love her unconditionally, not parents who see her as a disappointment." I cried in my dad's arms like I was a little girl again, and I kept thinking about what he said, that gender disappointment should disappear when you meet your child. Will Ryan's disappear when he meets our daughter, or will he always see her as the son he didn't get? I don't have answers to any of these questions. I'm 20 weeks pregnant, staying in my childhood bedroom, separated from my husband, and terrified about what the future holds. Ryan has asked if we can do couples counseling. I said yes, but only if he goes to individual therapy too to work through his issues with gender and expectations. He said he'd think about it, which isn't exactly the enthusiastic agreement I was hoping for. Linda has not apologized. She continues to call and text, acting like I'm the problem for overreacting and being dramatic. She sent me a package yesterday. I haven't opened it yet, but I assume it's more unwanted maternity clothes or baby items. My friends keep asking what they can do to help. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what I need beyond time and space to figure out what's best for me and my daughter. What I do know is this: my daughter deserves to be celebrated. She deserves to be wanted. She deserves parents who love her without reservation or disappointment. And if Ryan can't be that parent, then I need to seriously reconsider what our future looks like. I'm Charlotte. I'm 20 weeks pregnant with a daughter, and my husband and mother-in-law ruined our gender reveal by making it clear they're disappointed she's not a boy. I'm sitting in my childhood bedroom at 4 a.m., crying and placing my hands on my belly, telling my daughter that she is wanted, she is loved, and she is perfect exactly as she is. And I'm trying to figure out how to move forward from here, whether that's with Ryan or without him. If anyone has experienced something similar, please tell me what you did. Tell me how you protected your child. Tell me if it's possible to come back from something like this, or if some disappointments are just too fundamental to overcome. Because right now, I don't know if my marriage can survive this, and I don't know if it should. All I know is that my daughter, my beautiful, perfect, wanted daughter, deserves better than what she got at her gender reveal party, and I'm gonna make damn sure she gets it.